There is a moment in some banks when you can tell who the institution revolves around. Nobody announces it, nobody talks about it, but after you've sat through enough meetings, you start to notice it. The CEO speaks and the room settles. Someone asks a question, then glances toward the CEO before finishing the thought. A discussion pauses until the CEO's view is known. None of that necessarily signals a problem. In many cases, it reflects years of good judgment. I was in a board meeting where the institution had been performing well for a long time. Growth was disciplined, credit quality was strong, the CEO had earned credibility over many years. The discussion that day involved a possible market expansion. One director started raising a concern about timing. Before he could finish, another director said, "If John's comfortable with it, I'm comfortable." John hadn't spoken yet. To his credit, he immediately invited the concern back into the discussion. He asked the director to finish his thought. The issue received a full hearing. The decision was examined carefully. But the moment stayed with me, not because of the decision, because of the reflex. Confidence had settled on the person before the conversation had settled on the idea. I've seen similar moments in other institutions. A director begins asking a question with, "I know you've probably already thought about this." Or someone else says, "Management has always been good at these." The comment sounds supportive. Most of the time they are. But over time they can reveal something about how the board is operating. A newer director once approached me after a meeting. He said, "I really admire the CEO." Then he paused. "I just haven't figured out yet how to push without seeming disruptive." That comment told me more about the board than anything that happened during the meeting. The CEO wasn't intimidating. Culture wasn't unhealthy. The board respected him. The challenge was that respect had started influencing how questions were being asked, or whether they were being asked at all. I remember another strategic discussion involving a significant investment initiative. Management presented the rationale. The numbers were sound. The risks were outlined. When the chair asked for concerns, the room went quiet. After a few seconds, a director said, "If management is aligned, I don't see an issue." The vote was unanimous. Later, one director admitted privately that he had questions about execution capacity. I asked why he didn't raise them. He shrugged and said, "We've always landed these things well." The answer wasn't unreasonable. In fact, it was based on experience. That's what makes moments like these easy to miss. Strong leadership creates confidence. Confidence creates trust. And trust can gradually become deference without anyone intending it. The strongest CEOs I've worked with usually don't want that. Many actively ask for disagreement. Many invite criticism. Many try to draw opposing views into the room. Yet even then, boards can slowly develop habits around a trusted leader. The leader becomes a reference point. The board begins taking comfort from the judgment it has come to rely on. A chair once answered a question more quickly than I expected. I asked, "If the CEO stepped out of the room for the next 3 strategic discussions, would this board feel different?" He didn't hesitate. "Yes." Then he smiled and added, "And that's probably something we should think about." It was an honest answer. Not because the board lacked capable directors, not because the CEO was overpowering, simply because people had become accustomed to orienting around him. Leadership concentration risk isn't about succession. It isn't about performance. And it certainly isn't about diminishing a strong leader. It's about understanding where judgment actually lives inside the institution. How many voices are carrying the weight? How many perspectives are shaping the outcome? Would the board arrive at the same conclusions if the conversation began somewhere else? Those questions are easier to ask while leadership is strong than when circumstances force the issue. Before continuity ever becomes a discussion, there may be another question worth asking in executive session. Not about the CEO, about the board. If this leader were absent from the room, would our thinking materially change? Or would it simply continue?